I hope that in the last video, I was able to convince you just how important Dialga is going to be in the Master League when Go Battle League rotates on February 24th. This is a Pokemon that we're going to be seeing and seeing often. You either need to have it on your squad or have an answer for it. In the event that you're considering powering up a Dialga to add to your team, for a lot of us, Master League battling in Pokemon Go is not something that we've participated in on a regular basis. This might be the first instance that you've had an opportunity to say, Dialga, it's your time to shine. If you're considering investing in a Dialga, the Dialga Mirror Match is one in which IVs really do matter. It is borderline criminal how narrowly some IV combinations will pull out wins in the Dialga Mirror Match. As a result, and in this video, we're going to be looking at the importance, the difference in how Master League IVs, typically, as we may be aware, Great League and Ultra League, when you want to have a CP restricted Pokemon, you're looking for a low attack IV and as high as defense and HP as possible, while still leveling up to a point where you're as close as possible to that CP restriction, whether it be 1500 in Great League or 2500 in Ultra League. In Master League, we all want that perfect 100%. Now, the Dialga Mirror Match is one that is uniquely decided by the IV combination of your Pokemon. But there are specific, unique breakpoints and bulk points in that mirror match that you need to consider. If you have not already invested in a Dialga, I would recommend it. But if you don't have the right Dialga to win the mirror match, or at least pull out the tie, it might be better to hold on to those rare candy and Stardust until you can find the right combination. So in this video, we're going to be looking at what are those breakpoints and bulk points, what exactly are breakpoints and bulk points in Pokemon Go, and how do they play out in the Dialga Mirror Match. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, trainers. My name is Oro Chris. I am your catching coach. Now you may be asking yourself, Chris, why are you so concerned about the Dialga Mirror Match? Why is this something that you're so focused on? And the reason being is that I've been there. I've done that. They say that a smart trainer learns from their own mistakes. A wise trainer learns from the mistakes of others. I'm here to tell you about my mistakes so that you, trainers, can be the wise trainer that avoids the mistakes that I experienced in my own Pokemon training. Now, here's what happened. I have a Dialga, I look at the stats, I look at the IVs, I say, wow, 96%. This is going to be great. The rankings showed that Dialga was going to be a monster in Master League PvP, and I was one of those early adopters, one of those early trainers interested in Master League PvP. There were some folks that were just, it's Sylph League, it's Sylph Arena, we're doing Great League, that's it, that's all. But I wanted to battle with the big boys. So I get this Dialga, 96%, I max it out, power it up, add the second move, and I contact a friend to say, let's do a Master League battle. I'm ready to go. And oof, if I wasn't shocked at how unbalanced this mirror match went. Now let's play it out. He may or may not have had 100% IV. They were both for sure level 40. But mine was a lowly 14 attack IV. I know. Oof, I know. It was a 96%. It doesn't matter, let's be representative. 96%. We go into this thing, we hit battle, and what I saw was shocking, especially to someone that doesn't rate as much as some trainers out there. See your Dialga giving up 36 HP to the opponent before the final charge move, or if they decide to ultimately farm you down. I think the opponent in this situation decided to farm you down. It was not even close. And I'm like, this is a 96%. How does this guy have a quarter of his health left? And the reason being, trainers, is breakpoints. In this situation, this Dialga, my Dialga, is only hitting 4 damage per Dragon Breath, whereas the opponent is hitting 5 damage per Dragon Breath. And as we know, 4 is 1 less than 5. So for every Dragon Breath, and Dragon Breath being a very fast, low turn move, every one of those Dragon Breath repetitions doing 1 more damage than mine. By the end of this thing, at the the final moment, I've got 2 HP before he launches the charge move. He's got 36, and it was not even close. So what is a breakpoint? Because of how Niantic and the Pokemon Go app rounds the damage calculation, it doesn't round up, it only floors whatever the ultimate number would be. What do I mean by that? Is if my level 40 14 attack Dialga would be doing, based on their calculations, if it all comes out, 4.8999 repeating or whatever damage. It doesn't give that Dialga credit for the 0.8999. It just floors it to the next whole number, which is, of course, 4. So my Dialga doing 4.8999 based on the calculation, I'm making up numbers here. That 4.8999 rounds down to 4. So my Dialga at level 40 with a 14 attack is only doing 4 damage, whereas the opponent is able to hit, let's say, 5.02. Now that's going to floor down to the next whole integer, which is 5. So we're doing 4 damage versus 5 damage, and that makes a huge difference in a mirror match where the fast move damage is virtually exclusively what is doing any damage to the opponent. As we can see, we get to this last point, we've only got 2 HP left on my Dialga, the 14 attack Dialga. Really, instead of using that charge move, he's equally as well served just doing another fast move, and now he's got, at this point, if he were to just fast move here, he'd have a fully charged Iron Head ready to go for the next Pokemon that pops in with a quarter of its HP left. So that's what breakpoints are, is can you reach a point with your damage calculation based upon level, based upon the attack IV, as well as the overall defense IV of the opponent. Can you reach a point where your number of damage, instead of being, I'm making this up, but it's just for illustration, instead of being 4.89, which would round down to 4, breaking past that point, the break point, getting some damage in the calculation past that next integer so that it becomes 5. Now, in the Dialga mirror match, and I'm being descriptive here, this is not prescriptive, this is not how all mirror matches play out, but in the Dialga mirror match, I'm telling you what ultimately is happening. If the attack IV of your Dialga is equal to or greater than the defense IV of the opponent's Dialga, and if I misspeak across the course of this video, apologize. This is the 3rd time I've shot this thing, so I'm going to clarify. If I say attack stat or a defense stat, what I mean is IV. If the attack IV of your Dialga is equal to or greater than the defense IV of the opponent's Dialga, you will hit that breakpoint. And that's what's happening here. The attack IV of this level 40 Dialga is 15. That is equal to or greater than the defense IV of my Pokemon, which was a 14. It doesn't matter if it was a 15. Same difference. That's equal to or greater than. And again, this is descriptive. I'm telling you how this plays out. This is not prescriptive, meaning you can apply this to other mirror matches. This is how the mirror match plays out in the Dialga mirror match. Here we've got 4, here we've got 5. And it's because, or it's as a result of, the 15 attack IV over here on this Dialga is equal to or greater than the defense IV of this Pokemon. Now I know what you're asking. Oh, Ro Chris, these are level 40 Dialga. What happens if they're level 41? If they're level 41, as you may be aware, if you've got that best friend buddy boost on your Pokemon, if you've gotten all the 300 hearts necessary to make your Dialga your friend, your now best friend, you're going to get the equivalent of 2 power-ups. And those 2 power-ups equate to adding 2 to either the attack IV, the defense IV, whatever you're trying to compare. So if this is now a level 41 Dialga, this in essence now becomes a 14 plus 2 because we're getting 2 power-ups out of that. It equates to being 1 level, but that's 2 power-ups. If you've got the best friend boost on your Dialga, this 14 now we're adding 2 because it's a level 41. We're getting 2 power-ups out of it. That 14 now is in essence a 16. 16 is equal to or greater than the 15 over here, and as a result, this Dialga is now hitting that 5 damage breakpoint. But the opponent is now not hitting that 5 damage breakpoint. And the reason being, as we said, this Dialga's attack IV is 15. The opponent's defense IV is 15, but it's a level 41. So we're adding 2 to it. We're getting 2 power-ups out of it. So now we're going to call that in essence a 17. 17 is not equal, or 15 is not equal to or greater than 17. As a result, it doesn't hit that breakpoint. And that was what was happening in that original simulation that I showed you, where my 14 attack, 96% Dialga was not hitting the opponent's Dialga for that 5 damage breakpoint. But the same is going to happen if they're level 41. So what does that tell us? That tells us the importance of the attack IV on your Dialga is if you have a 15 attack IV on your Dialga and you've best friend buddied that thing so that it's level 41. You've got a maxed out Dialga, best friend buddy with a 15 attack IV. That means that you guarantee under all circumstances that you will be able to hit the opponent for that 5 damage breakpoint. Because the opponent, if they're 100% level 40 with the best friend boost, their defense IV ultimately at level 40 would be 15. We add the 2 because of the level 41. In this circumstance, again, this is prescriptive, not this is descriptive, not prescriptive information. We're going to call that 15 plus 2. That Dialga is always, your Dialga at level 41 with a 15 attack is always going to be equal to or greater than the opponent's defense IV. And as a result, you will always hit that 5 damage breakpoint. So if you're going to power up a Dialga, to ensure that you are always going to be able to at least deal out an equal amount of damage to your opponent, that you're not going to end in a situation where you're left with 2 HP before the final charge move, or you're getting farmed down and they've got a quarter of their health left. That 15 attack IV, with it being a best friend boosted level 41, is going to ensure that in all mirror matches, you're going to be on a level playing field. You're going to hit that 5 damage breakpoint. So that begs the question, how important then is the defense IV? Ultimately, not very important. And to demonstrate, let's make this a 15, and let's put this down to 0. So we've got a 3,951 CP Dialga versus a, let's make this level 41, versus a Hundo. The Hundo level 41 Dialga with 4,090 CP. With a 0 defense IV. Run it down. And it's a tie. It makes no difference what your defense IV. So if you've got an 89% Dialga, you've got a 15 attack, a 10 defense IV, and then a 15 HP IV, power that sucker up. That is going to be equally effective in comparison to another Dialga, even 100%, because, again, what matters on hitting that breakpoint is your attack IV equal to or greater than the opponent's defense IV. Here, they've got a 15. You can't get higher than that if they're at the same level, if you're both level 41 or if you're both level 40. So it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 0. 0 is not even possible, for example, with the Dialga. Even if you trade it, it's going to be 1 IV. Regardless, I'm just giving you that information. So a defense IV is never going to enable you to insulate yourself from the opponent hitting that breakpoint. What it can do, however, you're considering which Dialga should I invest in and which one should I power up. If you have a 15 or a 14 IV on your defense, what that does is it guarantees that you win the mirror match if the opponent does not have their Dialga as their best friend boosted to level 41. And what do I mean by that? Here, level 41 for you, we've got a 14 defense IV. That 41 is equivalent to 2 power-ups past level 40. So to account for that, we're going to take 14 defense IV, we're going to add 2 to it to account for those 2 power-ups past 40 because it's a best friend boost. So this is now going to be 16. You've got a 16, in essence, defense IV on your Dialga. If the opponent is a level 40, 100%, the best they can do on their attack IV is going to be 15. So their 15 is never going to be equal to or greater than your 16. At best, it's going to be, again, less than your 16. And if we run this out, we see we've got the same outcome as before when you're not hitting that breakpoint. We've got 5 damage for you versus 4 damage for them. And the reason being, you're at level 41 with a 14 defense IV. Same thing would happen, coincidentally, if you had a 15. But if you go 13 or lower, again, you're level 41, we're going to add 2 to that number to account for your 2 power-ups. So that in essence is the equivalent to a 15. Their 15 attack IV at level 40 is equal to, and again, this is descriptive of what's happening in this matchup, is equal to your IV of 13 on defense plus the 2 for the power up to level 41. So 15 plus 15, 13 plus 2 ends up being a wash. You're now in a situation where before that final charge move is being launched, you've got 2 HP left versus their 3 HP, and it's all the same. So a high defense IV, all that is going to do is it's going to demand of your opponent that if they don't have a level 41 best friend boosted, I'm saying level 41 air quotes, it's not really level 41, it's just boosted to that level. If their Dialga is not boosted to level 41 and yours is with a 15 attack IV, if you have a 15 or a 14 defense IV, then they can never hit the breakpoint against you, and you're going to walk out of that matchup with a big win. So again, a low one can't hurt you. If it's a 0, it's going to be the same result. You're going to have, 2 to 3. They're going to hit that 5 damage breakpoint. You're going to hit that 5 damage breakpoint. But if you have a 15 or a 14 defense IV, then you're going to insulate yourself from all opponent Dialga that are not best friend boosted up to level 41, if yours is level 41. So we've talked about attack, we've talked about the defense IV. How important is the HP IV? And this brings us to the concept of a bulk point. Breakpoints, again, are where you're hitting a point because of the damage calculation where you're doing 1 more damage per fast move than your opponent. A bulk point is the point at which, given your defense and HP IVs, your defense and HP stat, as well as the level of that Pokemon in comparison to the opponent, where you're able to survive one extra fast attack from the opponent than some other lower combination. So here we've got a perfect level 41 in comparison to a level 41. We run the simulation and we see that before the charge move is launched at the end of that battle, which is would ultimately result in a tie, that both of these Pokemon have a 3 HP left over. So their bulk point for this matchup is equal at 3 IVs. I'm sorry, 3 HP. A 12 IV in the HP stat brings this down to 1. So again, you are at the narrowest of margins, but a 12 IV in the HP stat, a 12 in the HP IV is equivalent to a 15 as far as the damage calculation is concerned in this matchup. So ultimately this Dialga is going to survive with 3 HP, 3 stamina left over. This one's going to have 1 left over, but ultimately they both make it to that final fast attack or charge move, whatever's happening at the end of the battle. They're both surviving to the same point, and they're both, of course, hitting that 5 damage breakpoint. And again, this doesn't matter if it were a 0 defense IV. The same result happens. Here we've got 3 over here versus 1. So we know that in a mirror match at level 41, a 12 HP IV is equivalent to a 15 in the mirror match at level 41. Now, if we go down to level 40 again, that may change things. So if we go down to level 40 and we run this simulation, here it is not good enough. At level 40, with 12 HP in the IV, you are not surviving, outliving your opponent. They are hitting that final bulk point with a 15 defense IV. Let's compare it to 13. And here 13 at level 40. 13 HP IV at level 40. This Pokemon is surviving with 1 HP left, 1 stamina point left. This Pokemon is being fainted down. So that tells us that defense makes no difference as far as overall survivability. It will only insulate you if your opponent is at a lower level than yourself. 15 attack IV is the most important. If you have a 15 attack IV and are at level 41, you're going to hit that 5 damage breakpoint versus all opponent Dialga. But at level 41, 12 will get it done. At level 40, 12 is not enough. Here, 13 wins that matchup. So if you're going to best friend boost your Pokemon, your Dialga, 13 is sufficient. But at level 40, 12 will not get it done. And as we see, we've got it fainted down with 1 HP left over. Now again, I will admit, this may be potentially somewhat academic. And the reason being, as you can see, we are slicing this matchup by the narrowest of margins. We are in a circumstance where this Pokemon is winning by 1 HP. But if you run this battle and catch any lag, miss 1 fast attack, have anything wonky happen during the course of this battle, it's going to shift it one way or the other. But the importance of these IVs, and if you're in a matchup where you're playing at potentially at a tournament or something else, you're playing in person, you're on a strong Wi-Fi connection, and you're not catching any lag issues, I wanted to present to the viewers the importance of what IVs potentially can matter. Here, as we can see, a 0 defense with a 12 HP does not get it done at level 40, but a 13 would. And that's a 13 in comparison to 100%. There we are. So you don't have to have 100% Dialga. If you do, you got that lucky trade, like a fellow trainer here in the local area, Powerful Ping, pulls out that 100% lucky trade. Good for him. Add that as your best friend. Get to that level 41 status, and more power to you in Master League, in Go Battle League. But if you're not there, it's so important, it is so crucial that you have a 15 attack IV on that Pokemon, because in this mirror match, it will be decided in a sweeping way, one way or the other, if one person is hitting that 5 damage breakpoint and one trainer is only hitting for 4 damage per Dragon Breath. Again, the defense IV is not all that important. It will insulate you in the mirror match if the opponent has not blocked theirs as a best friend. And what's great about this is you're going to see that pin on the Pokemon. You're going to know right when that Pokemon pops out of the ball, am I at an advantage or am I not? So you're going to instantly be able to play that matchup differently depending on what the opponent has done with their Pokemon and whether or not they've taken the time to best friend buddy it. So defense IV, you're not going to lose having a bad defense IV. Ultimately, you're better off having a 15 attack IV and a good HP IV. 13 will win the matchups at level 40. 12 will win all matchups in a mirror match at level 41. But I hope that we can all recognize that this is a matchup that is important to check, because if you're going to be using Dialga in Master League, this is a matchup that you're going to be seeing often. I expect that Dialga will be a common Pokemon that you will be seeing in Go Battle League when it rotates to the Master League on February 24th. As a result, you want to invest in the right Pokemon. If you don't have the a Dialga with the stats that I've recommended, that being a 15 attack IV, and at least for level 41 a 12 HP IV, I would consider holding off and looking at other options until you can hit that final point. For sure, do not power up a Dialga unless it has that 15 attack IV. It is so crucial in this matchup. Now, if you're interested in Pokemon Go, competitive PvP, and basically anything Pokemon related, consider subscribing to the channel. We'd love to have you around for more videos. If there are any other mirror matches you're particularly interested in checking out, or any other Pokemon you're considering running in Master League PvP, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what folks are interested in running in Go Battle League. And until next time, happy catching.